For our next guest, we have three from the Casa Agency of Opelousas, and they are Mrs. Madeline Rosette, and she is the Executive Director. We also have Mr. Christopher Poulard. He is the Advocate Supervisor. And we have Mrs. Betty Lestraps, and she is the Vista Community Liaison. And together they will share with us the various services that they are offering the community. So let's start with Mrs. Madeline. Ms. Madeline, how you doing? And tell us what this is all about.
We are Casa of St. Landry. We provide services to foster care youths in our community. What we do is we recruit volunteers to work with the foster care youths who are in foster care, which means they're not at home. And we provide these services to three courts: the 27th Judicial District Court, the Opelousas City Court, and the Eunice City Court. So our main goal is to recruit volunteers to work with these kids who are in need.
Okay. When recruiting volunteers and helping these kids, some of these kids are also the kids of parents who have been incarcerated who are also veterans as well, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
We may have some veterans,
yes.
Parents as well. Could be.
Yeah. So what I'd like to let everybody know, besides the everyday civilian, that sometimes we do have veterans that are incarcerated, and we do have children that are there, so try to help them as well. As far as for the veterans, just want to let them know what services you bring to a kid in, and that you can maybe help them out as well. Okay?
Well, if a veteran is in that situation, of course, they probably would have a DCFS caseworker. So DCFS stands for Department of Children and Family Services. They may have a caseworker, and what usually happens is we'll get the referral from either DCFS or the court system, but majority of our referrals come from the court system. And what we do is advocate for their children. While they'll be working with their caseworker, we'll be monitoring the child to make sure that their children are safe in foster care and giving the judge a report on how the children are doing.
Okay. And what about you, Christopher? What do you do the same thing, or what others?
Well, actually, I'm the Advocate Supervisor, like you said before, and my job is to supervise the volunteers.
Supervise the volunteers?
The volunteers. Okay. And like you were saying with the veterans, that could be a group that we need to target as far as being volunteers.
Okay.
We're looking for people such as veterans who have a lot of knowledge, who want to help kids, and want to be there, want to be an advocate for kids and help the cause.
Okay, so you can really reaching out to veterans who want to volunteer to be involved with,
yes, sir.
With the children. Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's good. And what about you, Ms. Betty?
I am an America Vista community liaison, and what that means is what I do, what my function with Casa is, I go out and actually we have flyers that we've had designed that gives information about Casa, which means which stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate, and my function is to go out to let the community know what we do. We have the brochures. When I go, I usually bring the brochures with me and put them in different places and get to talk to different people, let them know what we do and what the volunteers function actually is. If you want to commit to CASA for a year to be the voice of a child who is in foster care.
Oh, okay. When you're talking about volunteers, just what do they do with these children? What type of outreach do they do? Do they not only mentor them, but take them out on trips,
Well, we don't transport the kids, but we are like the facilitators. That we give the kids a voice, the opportunity to voice their opinions or their concerns, and we relate that to the judge who's on their case at that time. So what we do, we go into the homes, we go into the community, and we also go into the schools to check on the kids and report back to the judge what is going on in that child's life at the time while they're in foster care.
Okay, so that veteran, since I'm a veteran, that's what I'm talking about, veterans. But so that veteran have some knowledge and support that they would know that their children are really being taken care of.
Correct. That veteran who may be in that situation will have a caseworker, but then if CASA is referred on the case, they'll also have a CASA to the child. But at the same time, we would report to the parent who's in that situation, if they contact us, yes, your child is doing fine, or whatever services we're trying to seek, we won't keep them out of the loop of things.
Okay.
But we do advocate strictly and mostly for the kids. So if it means reunification, being reunified with that family, then we'll encourage that veteran to work their case plan so that they can get their child back.
Okay, that's good to know. And you, Christopher, when you say you're more or less for the volunteers, seeking volunteers, right?
Yes, sir.
Just what type of outreach do you do in order to try to get volunteers to become involved with this program?
Well, something like this work helps a lot, getting the word out, because a lot of people don't know who Casa is or where Casa is located. So that's one of the things, that I would do as an advocate. And also I wanted to say, as a supervisor, if someone becomes a volunteer, I'm with them every step of the way. So some people might say, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what it's all about. So I'm with them every step of the way. We have training classes that we start. Matter of fact, we start some training classes again in May 1st to be exact. And, so we train, we go 10 classes. So you by the time you leave classes, you know exactly what to do as a Casa volunteer.
Okay, so at that point, you more or less introduce them to the children after those classes?
After their classes, they have to be appointed by a judge, sworn in by a judge, I'm sorry. And then we sit down and they get to select what type of child they want. When I say what type of child, it could be, it could be a female, it could be a family of 3.
Okay, so more or less the judge has to okay this?
Yes, they have to be sworn in and assigned to the case by a judge.
Okay, now these volunteers, would they have to do like a background check?
Definitely.
And I'm not sure what else for you guys, but more or less the background check would be very important, as well as credit checks, I'm assuming.
We don't do credit checks. We do background checks, and of course they have to meet with Chris or myself. So we have like an interview. You have an application process. So it's an extensive process. We don't just want to put kids with people who are interested. We need to make sure that they are cleared to provide services for that child, because it is confidential with the information that's going to be exposed throughout the process of being a volunteer.
And of course, one thing else you have to do a check on is for drug testing, I'm assuming.
We do not drug test.
You do not drug test?
We do not drug test.
All right.
We definitely
That's
want
good.
a
That's
national clearance. We do FBI checks, state and local checks as well, to ensure that that volunteer is up to par.
Okay. So you guys really do cover the whole spectrum as far as getting volunteers involved. I just want to let them know exactly what they get involved in. It sounds nice over the television, but once they get into a hands-on, some people may or may not like it. But as far as dealing with the children, but I wasn't aware that the judge would have to appoint them. At the same time, they have the opportunity to select the child.
Basically, they tell us what their comfort level is. If they're comfortable working with a certain type of child, some people may be comfortable working with the babies, the 0 to 1 years old, because the Casa accepts kids 0 months to 17 years old. When they're 18, they typically age out of the system. So as soon as they're born, and if that child is going to be a foster care child, then we could accept them if the judge refers them to us. So we get referred through the judge or the Department of Children and Family Services. And then our volunteers who complete our background check, complete our trainings and our interview process, then they go on to tell us what type of child or who they're interested in working with.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. When it comes to you, Miss Betty, just specifically, what type of services do you really bring to Acadiana? Besides just being a liaison. Information.
Yes, just like when we first started the interview, a lot of people don't know what CASA is or who we are. So CASA, as I said, court-appointed special advocate, and once we're assigned by the judge or the DCSF, I bring the information to the community, let them know that we are here, what we do, and if they decide they want to become a volunteer, once again, I'll refer them to Mr. Chris.
Okay.
So that he can give them the information. They come in, they're trained, they're committed to CASA for 1 year to work with the child, to be the voice for a child. So it's mostly information that I get out into the community.
Okay, okay. As far as the child is concerned, I'm sure you must have had some type of little opposition sometimes, as far as placing children with certain people. Do you get a lot of feedback from those children about, do they have a choice of who they want to be
Well,
involved with?
they certainly can let us know if they're comfortable or not. And it's not a big opposition because we still trying to revamp the program, get more volunteers in. The only opposition that I had from a kid was, why does my volunteer have to always see me during PE hours? So, because the volunteers go into the school.
Yes.
But we took care of that situation. We asked the volunteer to go at a different time sometimes,
Yeah.
But it's no major opposition because I think the kids enjoy having that support of another adult who's on their side.
Yeah, yeah. When it comes to at what point during the process do you find out maybe that this child is a child of a veteran, or do you ever really find out?
We do meet with the parents.
Okay.
Like when there's a FTC, which stands for Family Team Conference. If they choose to release that information at the time, they can. They
Okay.
can let us know. But so far, I haven't had a parent to say, "Oh, I'm a veteran." Usually, you have to spark that relationship with the parents because sometimes they may think like, "Oh, they're part of the process of my child being taken away."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we're not in it to take kids away. We're here to help reunify families if we possibly can. So
Yeah.
if they would expose that information to us, we certainly can refer them to some veteran services, which would be you. So yeah, we typically don't have that exposed, that information.
Well, okay. Well, I tell you what, this kind of ends this session with us, and I really appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you very much.